I'll take down your fishing pole and meet me at the fishing hole.
Welcome to the State Line Area's only in-depth outdoor fishing report. I'm Hurricane Jerry, along with local fishing expert Adam Walton on the Fishing Hole here on Iron Country 101.9 and 1490. You can also stream the show via the internet at ironcountry.fm or from your TuneIn radio app. Today's show is brought to you by the Rock River Bait Box in Fort Atkinson. They have a better selection than your big box stores. Rock River Bait Box is your St. Croix elite dealer and your home for Kalen's Plastics. And they also have a wide variety of live bait and tackle, and they have Old Hickory utility buildings available. Plus, they are your only bait shop to offer portable ice shack rental and permanent ice shack rental on Lake Koshkonong. The Rock River Bait Box, located on the Rock River in Fort Atkinson on Rock River Road. They are our new sponsor. And Adam, you're the local expert here.
Yeah, I don't know about expert.
I kind of put you up on a pedestal there.
Yeah, compared to our guest today, I think I'm more like an avid fisherman. We got the legendary Joe Bucher on the line. Good morning, Joe. How you doing?
Hey, fellas, great to hear from you. You know, it's funny. You know, you're talking about you're just the egos. The accolades and the egos of people in the business, and you're a well-known angler, and I do what I do, and but still it's all about catching the fish, and it's still just a fish, So I've always had a very humble approach to the whole sport, and I don't consider myself any different or any better than anybody else just because I know how to catch a fish.
Well, we certainly appreciate that, but whether you want to or not, you are up there in the eyes of many, many anglers, and I know we got a local teen here by the name of Carson Deals that you are his fishing idol, and I know he's listening in this morning, so he'll be happy to get some tips from you and hopefully bring him to the water and get more fish in the boat. So,
well, that's what I'm all about, fellas. There's so many things going on that we have. Our television show is going to be, when it hits the air this January, we'll celebrate its 30th year on the air, and so we're kind of excited about that. That we've lasted through the third decade. We're 3 decades on the air, so that's kind of fun. And as you can imagine, after 30 years, a lot has changed, and some things have remained the same. Just the catching the fish part of it's the same, but the way we broadcast TV today versus the way we did it when we first started 30 years ago is really a different animal.
And technology, Joe, has changed in the last 30 years, hasn't it?
Incredible. We're out. We're going to go out tomorrow and just do drone videography all day long. Drones we used to do. If you wanted to do any kind of an aerial shot, you had to hire a helicopter.
Well, that's funny.
It's fantastic. In fact, all of our out-of-boat shots, if you look back even 4 or 5 years ago, all the out-of-boat shots, we would put a camera on a spot and then refish an area so that we could match up all the shots, and they'd all look perfect. And now we just, the cameraman just sets up, he can run the drone right outside of facing me and just film all live action. We have 5 cameras in the boat now, all small cameras that are all synced and including our underwater stuff, and we film everything live, including the drone.
It's absolutely amazing. I can't even imagine how much has changed in 30 years. But speaking of that, go way back, Joe. How did you first get into the industry?
Well, it's really interesting because I believe it or not, fellas, I started way back when I was a teenager in southern Wisconsin. I was known as a bass fishing, a teenage bass fishing whiz. And I mean, you've really got to go back a long way to to find articles or stories about me back in the Milwaukee Journal. I mean, that's how it started. I was just like a local bass fishing guru, and as a teenager, I was kind of a smart aleck bass fisherman catching bass, and I was following all the latest in techniques and reading Fishing Facts magazine, Bassmaster when it first came out in the early '60s, and I was an early protege of Buck Perry and Bill Benkelman and and Roland Martin and all the Bill Dance, and I studied all their techniques, and that's how I started.
What about Virgil Ward?
Well, Virgil Ward, championship fishing. Making jump Virgil, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's back when Gadabout Gaddis and Virgil Ward were the only guys on the TV shows. So I didn't have a TV show back then. Never thought I would. But fast forward when I went off to college, I would guide in the summer, and I was up here in northern Wisconsin guiding. And then the guiding became eventually a full-time gig, and I started a tackle business up here in northern Wisconsin, a tackle manufacturing business. And then, of course, eventually a magazine, Muskie Hunter magazine. So I had a magazine, a fishing tackle manufacturing business, and the guide business, and then eventually the TV show, which we'll get to in a second. But anyways, I'm trying to wrap this all up in a neat package for you guys. I used to guide TV stars. And Roland Martin, Bill Dance, Al Lindner, Babe Winkleman, those guys were all guests. I was a guest on their show. They would hire me and come up here once or twice a season, and I would film. I would take them out, and they would film shows up here. And Roland Martin, in particular, and Al Lindner and Roland Martin, both guys said, Roland Martin, he had the personality. Son, he says, you ought to get your own show there, son. You're pretty good at this there, son. And I said, well, how do you go about this? He says, you're already going about it. You see how the guys are filming, and you're good on camera. And he says, hire some of these local guys from these TV stations here and get started. And so that's how it started. I got one television station to work with me, and I hired their camera guy out on an hourly basis. We filmed the first year of Fishing with Joe Bucher back in the mid 1980s, late 1980s, and that's how it started.
Well, that's incredible.
It is. That's an awesome story. So 30 years. So it just blows my mind. We're pretty proud of you. I think there's a lot of anglers that have been with you from the start, and it's pretty amazing. So good job on that, getting there.
Thank
30
you.
years.
Yes, yeah, and congratulations on 30 years, and not only that, teaching us all how to be a better angler. Jerry,
that's why I always called the show Fishing with Joe Bucher, not Watch Joe Bucher Catch Fish. It was always about trying to take somebody fishing. So my whole goal from the very beginning, and I learned this from Roland Martin. Roland Martin was Fishing with Roland Martin. I don't know if you ever saw his show, but it was. Oh yeah, remember the Great American Fisherman?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yes, I do.
He was awesome. Yeah, and he would teach people how to catch fish, and Alvin was the same way. The Facts of Fishing show, his original show, and so I figured if nothing else, the person was watching my show or reading my articles in magazines or watching me at a seminar. I figured if I could teach that person how to catch fish, and then showed the examples of me catching fish, that person would tune in again and again and again. And I, by the way, had the same philosophy as a guide. I guided, for 26 years as a full-time guide, and my whole thing was if I teach these people the skills, they're going to make me look better. And you know how it is no matter how good, especially if you're not trolling, you're not a trolling bite. If you don't, it doesn't matter how good a fisherman the guide is. He's not fishing. Mm-hmm. You're only as good as the people that are in your boat. And I remember, in fact, early in my guide dates, guys say, "Well, can you guarantee me fish?" And later when I started charging too much, it's kind of funny. I started out at $25 a day, and then went to $35 a day. Gas was 25 cents a gallon back then. And I remember when I was when I finally hit the 100 number, $100 a day as a guide, I was really expensive. But the big thing is once I got that expensive, guys says, "Well, can you guarantee me fish?" I'd always just say, "Can you guarantee me you can catch them?"
Yeah,
I like that.
It's true.
I like that a lot. I might steal that from you.
I can guarantee you I can put you over a big musk. I guarantee it. But I can't guarantee he's going to bite, and I can't guarantee you're going to make good casts and make good figure eights and do all the things that are necessary to catch the fish. So, that's what makes the sport of fishing fun, and that's why it's fishing and not catching for the most part. It's in muskie fishing in particular, which is a real challenge, and it's more like muskie hunting sometimes, really, than muskie fishing. But
right.
That's another story. We could do a whole series on that. Right?
Oh yeah. Hey Joe, I got a quick question here before we get into muskie tactics here. You're the jack of all trades. I'm a music guy. I hit it off with Joe really good. I met Joe a few months back. Where was that, Adam? Was that Madison?
Was it?
Yeah, Madison
Expo.
Yeah. But I love to fish. I have a huge passion for fishing, but music, I have a huge passion for music, and Joe does too. And talk a little bit about your TV show. That's actually your guitar player, right?
Yes, that's actually all my music. I was a guitar teacher and studio musician and a traveling musician with various bands all the way through high school, college. And when I got the TV show, going, and I was purchasing music like most of us do, as bump music in and out of breaks and opens and closes and stuff. And one of the editors I was working with heard me playing guitar one time. He says, you ought to get in the studio with some guys and cut your own stuff, and then it'd be a signature for your show. And I thought, yeah, why am I not doing this?
Yeah.
So I got a bunch of good studio musicians and school teachers and some of the people the music teachers and stuff that I work with. And anyways, the long and the short of it is we started producing music specially for the show, and I actually produce music for my sponsors and stuff. Some of the music that's inside some of the commercials that my sponsors and stuff use is my music as well. And lo and behold, I have this signature music for my TV show, and it is entirely mine. It makes filling out forms and dealing with the legal side of the business a lot easier, because when it comes to filling out ASCAP and BMI forms and all the stuff for both radio and TV and wherever else my music is aired, it's Muskie Music Publishing, Joe Bucher, just Joe Bucher Outdoors. It's our own music. We own it all and produce it right here in my studio.
That's awesome. That is totally awesome.
How do you find the time to?
Yeah,
it amazes me. You got your own TV show. You got your own tackle line. You got a band. I can't imagine what your calendar looks like.
Well, what's interesting about most of those businesses, it was really a problem back in the 1980s and 1990s when I was running all of them myself. There really wasn't enough hours in the day, and then I started eliminating some of those things. For example, I went from full-day guiding trips to 3-hour trips. Ended up moving the magazine out of the place and had some of my associates run the magazine, and I would just oversee material and then write an article for it. And that's essentially what I do now. And then the tackle business, my wife and I ran the business for over 20 years, day-to-day operations, had all the employees, building the lures and everything. We got rid of that, and I just own the names and the trademarks and the molding on all the products now. And one of my best friends who bought the lures from me for all these years, one of the bigger distributors, lives down in your area, Robinson Wholesale down there in Genoa City. Mm-hmm. Ken Robinson actually runs Joe Bucher Outdoors now for me on a day-to-day basis, and I just design lures and help them promote them now.
Well, yeah, that's pretty.
So
amazing.
there isn't enough hours in one day to do all that stuff. And what I retained in my early 60s, what I retained is the things I really want to do. And one of them is I still love to write articles. I still love to produce the TV show. And on those rainy days or snowy, cold days, I get up in my music studio and I produce the music for the show.
Now, do you do much ice fishing?
I don't anymore. I did a lot back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and into the early 90s. I totally gave it up because there's this thing down in Florida that I like to go. There's a place down in Florida I like to go bass fishing and saltwater fishing in the winter. So I gave up shoveling. I don't like shoveling snow anymore.
Don't blame me.
So I gave it up, but I totally appreciate it. Boy, there's another the ice fishing business and the ice fishing technology and just the fervor for ice fishing has just gone crazy. There always were guys that just loved to ice fish, but now ice fishing is its own thing.
Yes, it is. It is. Hey, yeah. Joe, we got a couple of questions here. Let's talk a little bit about fall tactics. And you follow moon phases at all when trying to attempt to catch a trophy muskie in the fall? Is that important to you?
Well, Jerry, I actually have published my own moon charts, and I wrote some very controversial at first articles on the moon and muskies way back in the early 80s. And following moonrise and moonset, not moon overhead and moon underfoot so much like the original Solunar tables, but watch just my experiences on the water as a guide. I noticed that moonrise and moonset, no matter when they occurred, no matter what part of the moon phase it was in, were triggered just like sunrise and sunset. So yes, I follow it very closely. And I also, what I really like to do with it though, Jerry, is correlate traveling trips around being on a good body of water on a full moon or a new moon, but more so during the day. What I like to do is be on a really good spot during those subtle moon peaks that occur during, especially when you get a day like, for example, the day we have coming today, which is a basic, nice, sunny, warm, early September day with no front.